Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at the Mad Catz RAT 4 Plus. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at the Mad Catz RAT 4 Plus. I've never used one of these before and I've always seen them and thought it's a very interesting design, but being that I am a lefty, it's a little bit difficult to actually use a mouse which has got these kind of side plates on for resting. So this really is designed for those of you that are right-handed, which seems to be the majority of you from what I'm hearing from the comments section. So if you are a right-hander, I think this is going to be a very good option for you. At the moment here in the UK, you can pick one of these up for in the region of about £45, which actually, considering what is in it and the flexibility, etc., I don't think is an unreasonable price, but certainly if you can find it cheaper, definitely worth shopping around. Spec-wise, we're looking at a Pixart 3330 sensor, which is up to 7200 DPI, and of course, as per usual with most of these gaming mice, you can select your DPI pretty much on the fly using the buttons on the top there. So you can select between 4 different levels actually on the fly with that button. You can also change that in the software as well. This does come fully supported in software, so you can change things like lift-off distance, your reaction, DPIs, all those kinds of things, and also a little bit of lighting. Now, lighting-wise on this mouse, this doesn't have any RGB. It has, well, it has the R, but not the G and the B. So this has red illumination, which is configurable. Again, you can turn it off, you can have it breathing, you can have it reactive or blink, those kinds of things. Very, very minimal in terms of lighting effects. But really, the mouse is more about actually how it works, how it performs, and if it's going to make you a better gamer. So this is where, for me, the problem really starts. Like I said, I'm a left-hander. This is effectively a right-handed mouse. And actually in use it is pretty darn uncomfortable. But on the flip side of that, it has improved my gameplay immensely. So I'm really stuck in a quandary of, do I stick with the mouse, which is inherently uncomfortable for me, just so I can get better scores in games? Also in Windows as well, the use, the reaction, the scrolling, all those kinds of things, even those minute adjustments in things like Photoshop and Adobe Premiere are extremely easy to do, and the tracking sensor does an absolutely fantastic job, but it's just really uncomfortable for me. Now, of course, being a Mad Catz mouse, this is something which can possibly be overcome. There is some adjustment on this mouse, so you have got this section on the back which actually is on a slider, so you can push the button in on the side there and then you can actually adjust it. You can basically pull it all the way off if you wanted to. You can see there is a sliding scale there. There's a little metal pin which actually sticks into the side. So there's about 5 or 6 different options of different lengths you can have. So if you've got a slightly larger hand, then you can set it towards the very back. Or if you've got a smaller hand, then you can push that in, which is not easy to do from this angle, and you can slide that all the way forward to make it a more compact mouse. I really like that design. The option of actually changing the physical dimensions of a mouse to suit you are actually really nice. Now again, if you're a right-hander, then this is going to fit very, very well for palm or claw grip. And I'm not normally using a mouse in my right hand, but actually this just feels really nice and really natural. When it comes to the left hand, yeah, I can kind of rest my fingers on the side, which actually works okay, and I can use the side buttons for kind of reload or back and forward, that kind of thing. But they do seem to be a little bit further back than I would actually like them as a left-hander. But for righties, you should be absolutely fine. There are 7 mouse buttons on here in total, which are programmable. And also you've got a mode button there, so you can set up to 4 different modes actually in the software, and you can change through those again on the fly. This is in a really nice position because it's just off from your left trigger finger, so you can just kind of roll your finger across and change modes on the fly, which again, I think is a really nice choice, very well positioned and works exceptionally well. Other things that work exceptionally well, like I said, there are lots of buttons on here, but one of my favorites actually is the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel has a very, very light touch. It will roll a little bit, but not a great deal. There is a very slight indent between actual movements, but not enough that it really requires a great deal of force or movement to do. So for fast weapon switching in CSGO, that kind of thing, it works very well and very quickly. Just below that, you've got the buttons there for adjusting the DPI. So I thought it was just one button, but it actually is like a rocker. So press on the back button, it will go to the kind of the lowest setting, 1, press the forward, and it goes up to level 4. And you do get on the side, there is a visual representation of which mode it's in. So if you're not using the supplied software, you can just at a glance see which DPI setting you're actually using. When it comes to the actual buttons themselves, so we've got the nice left and right click, which for me have got just the right amount of spring to them. They are really responsive and using Omron switches. The rest of them, I'm not entirely sure which switches they use. They don't sound like Omrons, and I'll give you a practical test of some of the buttons now. So that's the button. So like I said, we've got the left button, right button, you've got the middle mouse click, you've also got the scroll wheel, the DPI setting button, you've got the mode switch button on the side there, and moving on to this side, you've got your traditional back and forward buttons, which actually really nice click to them, as you've probably heard already from the sound test a little bit earlier. But what you've also got as well, which you do find on some mice, but not a great deal of them, is actually a kind of like a sniper mode button. So you can press that in and it will automatically change briefly whilst it's pressed in into kind of like whichever DPI you set. So in gaming, you could use this as a sniper function. So you can set the DPI down to a really, really low level so you can get that really accurate shot. Or you can go the completely opposite way and set it to 7,200 so you can have a really, really quick response. Again, totally up to you in the software supplied. The mouse itself overall is a very flat design, as you've probably seen from some of the B-roll. And actually I thought this was going to be something which would go against it. Again, for me being a lefty and using a kind of semi-claw grip, actually works pretty well. It is a little bit uncomfortable over a long term, but I did find actually the angled section here is actually a really good place for me to rest my thumb. So giving me a little bit of support. Again, with that section on the side, I can use that with my finger. And actually, it is actually okay to use. Again, I guess getting used to it after a while, it may become second nature. But certainly going from some of the ambidextrous mice, which we've reviewed recently, which you can check out up here, and then go into one which is more catered towards for right-handers, it is a little bit of a learning curve. So looking at the bottom of the mouse, there are very limited skate pads on this. So got a very small one at the front there on both sides, in the middle, and also at the back. When it comes to the actual weighting of the mouse, it's around about 90 grams. So it's not particularly heavy, and actually when you're using it, it feels lighter than the weight would suggest. 90 grams you'd think is a relatively heavy mouse in today's standards, but actually because of the way it's designed, the size of it, and all of the kind of air gaps, it does seem to be quite lightweight. And certainly after prolonged use, it doesn't appear to give your hands very much sweat. There's a lot of air movement around there, so it doesn't really get very warm at all. I was expecting the rubberized pads on the click buttons there to get quite dirty and quite greasy, but actually, as you can probably see already, and from some of the B-roll, I haven't cleaned this. This is literally after I've been using it, and it does look pretty much brand spanking new. Another thing which is nice as well is the braided cable. So you've got a 1.8 meter braided cable on there with a gold USB connector. And also the cable itself is some sort of fiber that they've used in the braiding. And again, that doesn't seem to pick up dirt either. So it actually does stay quite clean looking for quite a long time, which is always a bonus. So going back to the specs, this mouse, again, like I said, is using the Pixart PMW 3330 sensor, which gives you DPI resolution of up to 7,200 DPI. It also tracks at 150 inches per second, which is pretty decent. It has an acceleration of 30G and a 1 millisecond response time. So overall, yeah, actually pretty decent. And again, it's a very, very difficult one for me to wholeheartedly recommend due to the fact that it feels slightly unnatural in the grip. Again, I am a lefty, not a righty, so your experience may differ completely. The real thing is, it does improve my gameplay, and it does actually improve my accuracy in Windows as well for just using normal Windows tasks, scrolling, all that kind of stuff. It just feels really good. It's just a real shame that this isn't an ambidextrous model, otherwise I would use it as my daily driver without hesitation. So I think that's going to wrap this one up. This has been the Mad Catz RAT 4 Plus. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.